The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
There's a Yid by the name of Daniel Abir. He lives in one of the outskirts of Bnei Brak. He's not a regular yeshivish guy. He has a bird. He has a big parakeet. Parrot, I don't know what it is. And the bird talks, and he figured if he lives in Bnei Brak, it's not going to go over with the neighbors. You live on the outskirts, people manage with you. And sure enough, the neighbors are very upset at him sometimes. In the middle of the night, his bird is clocking away, making noises. But Lamaisa in the day, they see how all the kids in the neighborhood are hanging out by the bird and not anywhere else. They're happy. It's a good kosher entertainment. And they already taught this bird all types of words. Every Shabbos, whoever walks by, he screams out, Good Shabbos, Good Shabbos, Good Shabbos. The bird knows how to say, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And when you tell the bird, Ma Shlomcha, he answers back, Baruch Hashem. It's a Geshmaka bird. Whenever Daniel comes home from his Zachen, the bird jumps and flies onto his shoulder, and he walks around with him. And one day Daniel discovered that his hot water, the pressure, something's wrong. So he decided to call a guy, it's 200 shekel. He's not paying so much money for a guy, he's gonna fix it himself maybe. So he went up to the roof, and the parakeet comes with him, and he starts tinkering around with the Dut Shemesh, and he pokes at a hair, and all of a sudden he got like a glob of dirt out, and all of a sudden the hot water started shooting out. So he fast jumped out of the way, but the parakeet wasn't so lucky. And the parakeet got burnt from the hot water, got scalded, and it went flying, and it flew about a mile and flopped into some soccer field. And now, the bird is all gemutzet, burnt. And the bird don't know from nothing, he's just sitting there, lost. And suddenly, a Yid, a Fry Yid, his name was the Sanal El-Hanan, and was walking around the soccer field, and he sees this bird. And he goes over to the bird, and he sees that it's burnt. It sees that it's gechalished. He says, you know what, I'm gonna take you back to my house, I'm gonna nurse you back to health. And he takes the bird home, and he finds out from friends how to deal with the bird. And he gives it gesund, and food, and water, and he covers it at night, and uncovers it in the day, and he gives it fresh air, and mamish, after 2 weeks, the bird is back to normal. And the bird starts talking, and one morning the bird screams out, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And he said, what was that? And the bird says, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Anyways, the next day, again the bird says it, and then the third day the bird says it, and he tells his wife, Elisheva, what's going on? And Elisheva tells him, Nathanael, Hashem is sending you a message, time to say Shema Yisrael. The bird is saying Shema Yisrael. You can't say Shema Yisrael? He says, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to shul. And the next morning, Taka, he kept his word, and he went to shul. And they put him on talis and tefillin, and he Taka read, and he himself said Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And he davened, and he came home feeling like $1 million. He doesn't understand why. But he just got a connection. And he went every day. He went to shul. And they taught him, and now he knows how to put on the talis and tefillin by himself, and he's davening, and he's there 10 minutes early, prepared, ready to daven. He likes it. He feels connected. And then someone tells him, where are you for Shabbos? He says, I'm home. He says, okay, very nice, I was going to invite you. He says, no, I have my own family. He comes home, and he tells his wife, you know, today is Shabbos. The bird hears Shabbos, Good Shabbos, Good Shabbos, Good Shabbos, Good Shabbos. And the bird a whole day is saying Good Shabbos, Good Shabbos. And he says, his wife says, you know, the bird's saying Good Shabbos, maybe you should make Kiddush. So he went and he made Kiddush with his wife, and he said, you know something, let's invite all the kids. So the next Friday night, he had all his kids there, and the bird was saying Good Shabbos, and they were singing, and it was very beautiful, and it was uplifting. And he decided he has to learn more about Shabbos. Where did he learn? So someone told him there's something called Arachim. So he went to the next seminar, and he heard debates, and he heard speeches, and he heard proofs. It was great. One of the speeches was given by a guy by the name of Daniel, and at the end of the speech, he says, by the way, this is not the place to do this, but I have a personal loss, and I want to share it with everybody. Maybe someone can help me. He says, I had a green parakeet that got a little burnt and flew away. I don't know what happened to it. If anybody ever finds it, please, my name is Daniel Abir, and this is where I live. Please return it to me. Nathanael hears this, and he says, I'm not giving back that bird. I nursed that bird back to health. I saved its life. It's mine. Anyways, he comes home, and on the way back home from the seminar, he's talking to his wife, Elisheva. And he said, Elisheva, what do you think? Should I return the bird? She says, what do you mean? You have to talk to the rabbi. Ask the rabbi, you have to give it back or not. He'll tell you. He goes to the Rav, and the Rav tells him that there's a mitzvah in the Torah of Hashavas Aveda. Even though you found it, and you helped it, and you nursed it back to health, and you saved that bird's life. But L'maisa, the mitzvah in the Torah, when you find something from somebody else, and the guy gives simanim, you have to return it. It's a mitzvah. And Nathanael went, and he returned the bird to Daniel, and Daniel says, how do you know it's mine? He says, because I was by your seminar. He says, how did you get to my seminar? He says, you know why? Because your bird was saying, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And that got me woken up. Look how HaKadosh Baruch Hu's running the world. He gets a bird to give a message to a guy. Wake up. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hashem works in mysterious ways. And sometimes people need that message from a different place. But Hashem has His way of doing it.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org